And now let's have a look at the report, which is a review from JP Morgan over Vietnam on its economy and politics.
Latest Asia-Pacific equity research concerning economic and political reviews in Vietnam. The State Bank of Vietnam reported that the total public debt of Vietnam is now over $71.749 billion, equivalent to 49.4% of the country's GDP, and an average debt load of $800 per person. External public debt is over $50.165 billion, up from $47.468 billion in 2012 and $44.34 billion in 2011. Previously, according to the Ministry of Finance, Vietnam's public debt was still in the safe zone as it remained lower than the maximum threshold at 65% of the country's GDP, which the government sets for 2011 to 2020 period. According to Vietnam News Agency, the country incurred a state budget deficit of 24.035 trillion Vietnamese dong, or around $1.15 billion in the first 2 months of the year, or 14.2% of the full year estimate. The state budget revenue was estimated at 114.8 trillion Vietnamese dong, or around $5.49 billion during the period, falling by 1.9% from a year earlier. Ministry of Planning and Investment released a revised number for registered FDIs showing a 23% upward revision. The actual registered FDI in 2012 was $16 billion, up from the earlier released figure of $13 billion. Manufacturing and processing remained the most attractive sectors for FDI, constituting 71.6% of total FDI, followed by real estate with $2 billion, or 12.3% of total registered FDI. The central bank considers reassigning credit growth limits for each individual bank this year based on its tier. This aims to improve credit growth of banks without a negative impact on system liquidity. According to the State Bank of Vietnam, again, non-performing loans in Vietnam banks dropped to 6% from 8% in December 2012. No reasons for the sharp decline were given. According to a new regulation posted on the State Bank of Vietnam website, Vietnam's central bank will put some banks under special surveillance because they risk losing payment ability or have serious violations that could lead to insecurity in operations. The central bank will monitor daily operations of such banks. The governor will have the right to demand the banks boost share capital, propose a restructuring plan, or force them to undergo M&A with others in case they cannot boost capital on their own. According to Bloomberg, the new regulations will take effect on April 27th. The central bank again promulgated loan classification, in which a new regulation will take effect on June 1st this year. Tightened regulation on loans will lead to higher provisions at banks, which in turn will likely have an impact on the profitability of banks in the second half. According to local press, MOF is considering lowering the corporate income tax and VAT rate for several sectors. According to the draft, the fiscal stimulus package worth 43 trillion Vietnamese dong may include tax breaks for around 34 trillion Vietnamese dong and 9 trillion Vietnamese dong tax reduction. The VAT reduction proposed for social housing is 250 billion Vietnamese dong in 2013 until the next year, and support for low-income home buyers is 300 billion Vietnamese dong. This is unlikely to have a significant impact on the market due to the limited size of the stimulus package. Patsurang Desha Putharangsi reports.
We continue to run our DBS economic forecast this week, and today's report is on the Philippines. Well, the Philippines' economic growth last year, 6.6%, has made it the fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia. Let's take a look at this report.
The Philippine economy is expected to be strong this year, with GDP growth forecast to reach 6% in 2013 and 2014, according to DBS Bank from Singapore. Last year, the Philippines achieved a full-year growth of 6.6%, making it the fastest growing in Southeast Asia. The economy has shown resilience, a sharp contrast from 2009. DBS cited 3 factors for the resilience. First, non-electronics manufacturing was able to offset the slump in electronics. Second, the service sector performed well, with the financial intermediation and the real estate, rent, and business activities components registering growth of 7.2% and 7.7% year-on-year, respectively. Third, there is currently a construction revival underway for the Philippines. DBS said the Philippine economy is going through a period of high growth and low inflation that stretched from the first quarter last year. The same trend is expected until the third quarter this year. While growth remained high, inflation stood at only 3.1% last year and is expected to stay low with an average of 3.8%. The Philippine Central Bank is targeting an inflation band of between 3 to 5% for this year and next. Momentum in the domestic economy remains strong, with private consumption growth averaging 1.7% quarter-on-quarter over the last 3 quarters of 2012. Consumer confidence rose to a 2-year high in the last quarter last year. Car sales in particular rose sharply over the last few months. The Singapore-based bank said the current Philippine government has helped to transform the country's image as an investment destination through reforming its fiscal activities, cracking down on corruption, and introducing many private-public partnership projects. So far, only 2 projects were awarded, namely the Danghari-South Luzon Link Road and School Infrastructure Project, while 6 other projects are still undergoing the bidding phase. Construction on these infrastructure projects will help boost gross fixed capital formation growth, which makes up around 20% of GDP. Government spending should remain high in the first half of this year, before decreasing slightly in the second half.